Welcome to Fountain Springs. My name's Christy, and it's so great to have you here with us today. We're going to get things kicked off here in just a moment. The band's going to be out to lead us in a few songs. Lyrics will be up on the screen, so you can engage with worship however you feel comfortable. And then, after that, one of our pastors is going to be out to share a great message. All in all, we'll be here for just about an hour. And wherever you're joining us from, thanks for making Fountain Springs part of your weekend. We are thrilled to have you part of our family. Of course, if you're in the auditorium, we want to let you know we've got fantastic kids programming that's happening today. It's safe, it's secure, and your kids are bound to have a blast. And there's still time to check them in. If you head into the lobby and look for the large kids sign, one of our awesome volunteers would love to help you check them in. And with all that being said, we're going to get things started here in just a moment. So find your seats if you haven't already, and we'll get started shortly.
Well, welcome everybody. We're glad you're here with us today. Would you go ahead and stand as we sing together? Come on.
I was nowhere, you came to my rescue. From the grave I've been raised. When I needed a savior to save me, Jesus, you made a way. I was blind, but these eyes have been opened. Now I walk in the light. Every step on this road I will follow. Jesus, you made a way. You are the way. You are the way. Lost and dead, but your love came to find me. Jesus, you are the way. You are the way. Darkness, Jesus, you are the way. Jesus, the only way. All my days are secure in your promise, never standing alone. You're the truth, you're the life, you're my future. Jesus, you made a way. I'm alive in the love that you give me, free to dance once again. You will lead me from glory to glory. Jesus, you made a way. You are the way. You are the way. Lost and dead, but your love came to find me. Jesus, you are the way. Jesus, the only way. Darkness, Jesus, you are the way. You are the way. Lost and dead, but your love came to find me. Jesus, you are the way. You are the way. You are the way. You're the light shining bright in the darkness. Jesus, you are the way.
cannot see. You are my strength. Though my heart is weak, you won't let go. No. You take my place on this battlefield. You go before. You're my sword, my shield. I'm not alone. That's right. You fight for me. You always have. You always have. My victory is in your hands. In your hands. The God of heaven is my defense. No weapon formed will get to me. The enemy is underneath your feet. My God and my home. You won't let go. You fight for me. You always have. You always have. My victory is in your hands. It's in your hands. The God of heaven is my defense. You fight for me. You always have. You always have. My victory is in your hands. It's in your hands. The God of heaven is my defense. Declare this today. No, I will not fear. The armies will rise. Some of us need to declare this. No, I will not fear. Remember, for you are on my side. I will not fear. The armies will rise. I will not fear, God, for you are on my side. You fight for me. You always have. You always have. My victory is in your hands. It's in your hands. The God of heaven is my defense. You fight, God, you fight for me. You always have, you always have. My victory is in your hands, it's in your hands. The God of heaven is my defense. The God of heaven is my defense. You unravel me with a melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies, till all my fears are gone. Sing this out, come on. And I'm no longer a slave to fear. Yes, we are. And I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am the child of God. my mother's womb, you have chosen me. Love how you called my name. You called us, and we've been born again into a family. Your blood flows through my veins. That's right. And I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear, 'cause I am a child of God. And I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. And I'm no longer a slave to fear, 'cause I am a child of God. Oh, give me faith to trust when you say that you're good, your love is great. I'm broken inside, I give you my life. Yes. I may be weak, but your spirit's strong in me, and my flesh may fail, but my God, you never will. Yeah, I may be weak, but your spirit's strong in me. My flesh may fail, but my God, you never will. Oh, I may be weak, but your spirit's strong in me. My flesh may fail, but my God, you never will. Oh, I may be weak, but your spirit's strong in me. My flesh may fail, but my God, you never will. You split the sea so I could walk right through it. You drowned my fears in perfect love. Oh. You rescued me so I could stand and say, I am a child of God. Oh, split the sea so I could walk right through it. You drowned my fears in perfect love. You rescued me so I could stand and say, I am a child of God. Yes, I am a child of God. Yes, I am a child of God. Yes, we are. I am a child of God. Walking around these walls, well, I thought by now they'd fall, but you have never failed me yet. And waiting for change to come, knowing the battle's won, for you have never failed me yet. We can put our trust in Him. Let's sing this out. Your promise promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail me yet. No, you haven't, God. I know the night won't last, 'cause your word will come to pass. And my heart will sing your praise again. Let's go. And Jesus, you're still enough. Keep me within your love, and my heart will sing your praise again. This is the cry of our hearts, God. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never failed me yet. Oh. No matter where we are today, we can declare this together. I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. I'll see you do it again. We can put our faith and our trust in Him now. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. Give it back. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never failed me yet. You never failed me yet, and I never will forget. No, you never failed me yet, and I never will forget. Amen. Can we thank him for his faithfulness today? Well, thank you so much. We're glad you're here. You can go ahead and have a seat.
Well, just the other day, we were having a conversation as we just kind of wrapped up. We were having devotions with our girls, and the story was just really cool. It was just one of those reminders, like, listen, God invites us in to be a part of the story. It's not just like God's like, hey, I'll take care of it. Listen, I've got an idea. And I love it because God invites us to be a part of what he's doing. And I love it because I think it responds directly to that song. It makes us a part of the story. It's not just like, hey, we know of a God that did something. No, we know of a God that did something that allowed me to be a part of it, to see him move mountains. I get to be a part of that story, to see lives change. I get to be a part of that story, to serve alongside somebody that really needed it. I get to be a part of that story. And those stories are amazing because they build our faith, they grow our faith, and they help us to share our faith. And that's pretty amazing in my opinion, because I want that for my girls. I want them to not just know about God. I want them to know God and how he works and moves and to be a part of that story. And I believe one of the things that is really true is when we have opportunities to grow our faith and to see it be impacted, we should definitely take an opportunity to do that. And I think, and I know that Love Week is one of those opportunities. As you came in, you got a card. And on there, you're going to find some information. You'll find information about what you can do to help us prepare for Love Week. Love Week is June 9 through 15. It's an amazing time to show people who Jesus is in the Black Hills, in our city. It is essentially a missions trip to our region. And we have a lot of fun. We paint, we laugh, we share a meal together. We do different projects. We write encouraging notes on sidewalks. There is so much that takes place. And the cool part about this is, like, if you have that card and you look at it, you're like, well, what can I bring to prepare? Well, diapers and hygiene products and bottled water. Listen, do something fun. Here's an experiment. Go to Walmart next time, just buy diapers and travel size hygiene products and see if they don't give you a funny look and be like, what are you doing? You'll have an opportunity to talk about Jesus and about what the church is doing. And I think that's really cool. So if you have questions on this, right outside the doors in the lobby, there's a Love Week display, and you can have a conversation out there. I would love for you to take a moment to engage this. Maybe it's just buying an extra pair of diapers when you buy groceries next time. Or maybe it's going through your closets this week and saying, hey, I've got some things I can get rid of to help make this week go exceptionally well. We're excited for it. We're praying for it. So I want to take a moment right now to be intentional and pray for Love Week. Would you join me? Thank you, God, for today. God, we definitely would all love 80-degree weather. That would be awesome. But God, you gave us another day to live. And so help us make the most of it. Help us give us an opportunity to show people who you are at work, moving mountains, changing lives. And we believe that Love Week gives us that opportunity at a greater level. And I'm excited about what that means. So already in advance, that we would pray that you would bring the right projects, the right weather, the right people to be a part of making this just an awesome, awesome time. You're an awesome God. We love you. We look forward to continuing to know who you are as we dive into your word in a little bit. Thanks for letting us sing songs of praise to you. God, thanks for loving us in such a way that you do. It's awesome, and I love it. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Hey everyone, here at Fountain Springs, we value the next generation. Every week, middle school and high school students gather in experiences just like this to learn about who Jesus is while also addressing the issues that they face. They worship, they play games, they spend time in community, and grow in their relationship with Jesus. And because of your generosity, over the last year, we've seen our small group attendance go from 50% up to 85%, which shows that the environment your generosity is helping create is truly making an impact. You can start supporting the next generation in two tangible ways. Pray. Pray for the lives of our students to know who Jesus is and walk their lives out following his example. And secondly, you can give. Your finances go toward creating a safe, fun, and encouraging place for our students to learn who Jesus is. You can give today online, by text, or by cash, or check at one of our locations. Thank you for helping transform the next generation and show them who Jesus is.
Let me ask a question. By definition, I'll give you the definition first, and then I'm going to need you to participate by signaling if you've ever even heard of this. Does that make sense to everybody? Hopefully it does. When two people are having a conversation I use lightly, could be an argument, and they both refuse to change what they want, it is called the battle of wills. Have you ever experienced this ever before? Anyone? Okay, that's everyone online, east, west, everyone. Okay. Some of you are very dishonest people, or you live in a hole. I don't know which one. The battle of wills. Okay, if you've ever had a kid around you where you were like their authority for 30 seconds, it happens. Where you want something, they differ, there's a problem. No, you don't just have to. How about work? You ever been there before? Where someone at work seems to want something very specific or not, maybe not even want to work, but you do, and there's a battle of what's going to happen. Maybe you had a sibling where that was your constant battle. Who sat on what side of whatever you were at? It didn't matter where you were, just whichever side, who got to listen to certain music, whoever. Most of us are radically familiar with this. So I'm going to take it further than you might expect. I want to make it a bit more, well, let's just call it a bit more personal. Because here's what I would say. If you take this far enough, you will actually take the battle of wills into your actual mind, to where I would say to you, whether you're willing to admit it or not, frankly, I'm not concerned about that, just I'm going to tell you it's true about you, that on a daily basis, you have the battle of wills going on in your own mind between two competing things. Let me show them to you, because this is happening to you. What I should do, what I feel like doing. Anyone else wrestle with this? Every time I have a thought about a donut, this is my life, right? Some of you, you've mastered this. You're like, okay. Anytime you get cut off in traffic, or you're at work and someone doesn't do what they should have done, and it's happened over and over and over again, you're thinking, this is finally the day that I'm going to say what I've been saying to all my other friends about this person. And you're like, should I do this? And you wrestle with what you feel like and what you should do. You and I are here. This is going on in your mind every day, I would say, for, well, a different group of subjects, relationships, stuff like that. I think it's dangerous if you don't tackle it. I think if you and I don't actually bring up the conversation, so I'm going to bring it up, if you and I don't bring up the conversation of the battle of wills going on in our minds, that we're going to lose it the majority of time. If you and I don't talk about it, if we don't just bring it up, and you might say, oh, I know the right answers for this, and I understand that you might know the right answers, but we still face that battle. And it's dangerous and incredibly common. Let me take you to the Bible. I have discovered this principle of life. Ooh, I'm interested. That when I want to do what is right, I inevitably do what is wrong. Sermon's over. Thanks for coming. I mean, we all should be like, right? I love God's law with all my heart. But there is another power within me that is at war with my mind. Do you know that a lot of us don't talk to others about this? Let me just out everyone. We don't address this, that we have this war in our mind. This power makes me a slave to the sin that is still within me. This is a big deal. And you and I right now, if you don't understand this, in this conversation we've been having as a church, if you missed out, it's okay. We've been talking about what's going on up here. And many of us are losing the battle of up here because, frankly, for a lot of us, our feelings and what we're in the moment going, I just kind of want to do that. That's a feeling. You're just going after it. We've all done this. We've all been guilty of chasing a feeling and ended up at a dead end where we're like, oops, ended a relationship, a conflict, a major loss. We've all been there where our feelings got us into some major trouble. So as I'm thinking about this, I thought, how about giving you a bit of a difficult question and just really messing with you for the rest of the week? Huh? Okay, let's do that. Here. Very good. Do you rule your feelings or do they rule you? I know some of us are like, good, I'm gonna ask my kids that. No. This is for you. When you think about your feelings, when you think about what you're in the mood to do, it may be in a split second, or maybe it carries out a lot longer. What's dominating in your life? Because we have different answers, a mixture of different answers right now. And as you begin to maybe answer that, like, okay, who's truly in charge up here, right? As you begin to process that, I want to give you a true story. It's about the Olympics. I don't know if you like the Olympics. I love the Olympics. There was a reporter who wanted to go interview the Olympic team's psychiatrist. Now, if you don't know this about the Olympic Training Center, they'll have like people there who will be there exclusively to mentally train the athletes. Like, they're not going to influence a lot of the physical stuff. They're not going to be outside on the field with them or anything like that. It's mind stuff. And most of the athletes, when they show up, well, they're thinking what you're probably thinking, what I would be thinking. I'm here to win a gold medal. Where do I stand in line, right? I mean, that's the typical agenda. Well, what the reporter found, was different than what most of us typically think, because we think an athlete shows up to the Olympics with the sole agenda of gold medal, and that was the root of all of their training too. But that's not what the psychologist said. Let me just quote, here's a quote. We train athletes to focus on execution, not outcome. Let me help you understand this. What the article went into saying was when they show up, we've let them believe that everything's about gold medals. Like, they literally just let them believe that, kind of marinate in that, telling all their friends and family, that's what I'm going after. Like, oh yeah, good for you. When they show up to the training center, it can no longer be talked about, the gold medal. It's all about execution from that point on. Because, see, when you're all about the outcome, the gold medal, your feelings, your emotions are going to hinder you. You're going to be all about the end line. You're going to be all about the victory. You're going to be all about the outcome that you will break down the execution. So what they train them to think about is, if you're a runner, all we're going to work on all day long today is not how do you get the fastest time, it's how you get off the line faster. Execution. If you're a volleyball player, it's not going to be how do we have more points than the other team. We're going to work on how you serve, and we're going to do thousands of those today. If you're a swimmer, it's going to be like, we're not going to talk about your end time. We're going to talk about, I need you to get your right arm over faster, and we're going to do this until you hate me kind of stuff. And that is what leads people into being elite athletes. And what I would say for you and I, many of us are living our lives, and what's filling our minds is this. We are all about the outcome, and we are sacrificing the execution. Let me show it to you. This is in the Bible. Jesus replied, you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, Love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind. That's what we've been going after this whole series. Let me just bring this up in the context of that story. You could call this an outcome. I mean, have you not? At least I have. I grew up in the church. My dad is a preacher. I have heard over and over and over again, love God. Oh, okay. I don't know how to do that, but okay. Love God, love God, love God, love God, right? Love Him with everything you've got. Just love Him. Okay. We don't know how to love anymore, I think. And especially when it comes to God, loving God with your mind, we're like, I'm not sure how to do that. But you can learn how to do that. And it has everything to do with what you're doing, what you're executing. Now, some of you think I'm hating on all feelings and emotions, and the goal is, all right, Pastor David said, no longer feel anything. No, feelings aren't bad. Just don't let them run your life. That's what the Olympians have learned. At least that's what they're trained. Is like, we're not telling you all your feelings are bad no, but don't let them run your life. That's why I asked you that question is what is currently right now running you? Because you have an answer for that, whether you like it or not. And if you want to win this, if you want this to be back on track, if you actually want to love God and not just kind of step into a religion, then you and I have to say, okay, maybe my feelings sometimes, oftentimes, most of the time, lead me the wrong direction. I won't ask you to raise your hands, but if you are currently a follower of Jesus Christ, if you currently have said, you know what, I am a Christian, let me show you what you signed up for. My old self has been crucified with Christ. You know, living your life about you, your will, your feelings, right? My old self has been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. So I live in this earthly body by trusting in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. If you call yourself a Christian, you're saying that your feelings are not going to just drive everything in your life. But I can give you a bit of a snapshot. In fact, let me give you a snapshot of what you and I typically do with our feelings. There's a couple things we typically do. One, we elevate them. We're literally like, I have this feeling. You are now king, right? Where you felt it, it seems right to you. It's like, you're like, oh, this is my version of God, and so God would be cool with this, or this is what I'm in the mood to do, and whatever you're in the mood for, you give it the crown, say, all right, run my life. We all have stupid decisions from this. In fact, let me show you what plays out when you elevate your feelings. Self-control becomes very low because it's like, I just feel this. I'm just going to go. If you've ever been in the moment where you're like, hey, why did you do that? Well, I just felt like doing it. That's what my kids tell me every time. Why did you punch so-and-so? Well, I felt like it. And you know what? Guess they're not lying. They just elevated their feelings. They became king for a moment. And self-control said, just go to the back. And selfishness is incredibly high. If you ever wrestle with this, I have. Let me just admit right now, I have wrestled with just being a selfish individual. And what I know is when I'm in my most selfish states, when I'm like, man, I am just all about me, it's because I'm buying into this idea that I deserve something. I'm going after my feelings, indulging just my feelings. This is how a lot of us respond to our feelings. And when you do that, you begin to blow this up. And loving God, when this is blowing up, when you've elevated your feelings, that's so tough. Loving God when you are, well, all about yourself. Now, some of you don't do this. You do the opposite. We ignore our feeling. Ostrich, head in the sand, right? This is some of us right now. You're like, no, yes, just listen. It's where we've got the feeling. We've got the emotion. And so we just try to ignore it. It's not there. I'm not really thinking that. No. And then you are. Here's what happens when we ignore our feelings, when we pretend like they aren't even there. Our self-esteem goes low. You know, if you ignore your feelings, you know what the devil's going to do with that? He's going to tell you you're the only one feeling that. In fact, the devil will even tell you that you're wrong for feeling that. And that happens over and over and over again. You know what happens to us is our self-esteem, we begin to feel shameful because we have these feelings. So we're like, well, the only way to do this is not to tell anybody and just to ignore it and just kind of, and then sadness goes up, right? Most of us, if you've been ignoring your feelings, if you've been like, no, I don't feel that, I don't think that, I don't feel that, I don't think that, you live in this state of just sadness. And that's dangerous. Very dangerous. So my goal was to bring you to a point. Most of us would agree that, okay, ignoring our feelings is not the best idea. Elevating them, we're like, well, we're taught as kids not to do that. Okay. So what do we do with our feelings? Good question. Lead your feelings through your actions. We live in a culture nowadays that's like, no. If you feel it, then that is your truth, and so that's what you operate out of, is your feelings, right? Well, according to Jesus, you and I oftentimes will have feelings that are not great, not good, do not honor him, and you're like, what do I do with that feeling? Do I ignore it? Do I elevate it? No, you lead it. You don't run your life with it. And sometimes when you're not in the mood, this will blow your minds. Sometimes you still just do what is right. Do you need a second with that? Sometimes if you don't feel like doing what is right, sometimes when you feel like shouting at the person and cussing them out, sometimes you're like, what do I do? We'll encourage them. You're like, what? See, we are not great at letting our actions determine our feelings. Are we not flipped on this? So let's go back to the Olympics, the most decorated Olympian of all time. I don't care what your opinion is about him, just listen. Michael Phelps, right? None of us would ever want to swim against him. Maybe now we might compete against, no, we still wouldn't actually. Known as perhaps the best swimmer, or at least Olympic one of all time, right? And I don't know if you ever wondered this. When you ever see someone who is elite, like they're doing their thing, whatever their thing is, and you're like, I wonder how they're accomplishing their thing, right? How are they getting that? Were they just born with it? Because I've got friends who just do things naturally, and it's annoying that it's just so good immediately. And is that the same with Olympians or professional athletes and stuff like that? Well, not according to his coach. His coach would not indicate that it was all of that. In fact, here's what his coach brought up in something I read, was that when many of the swimmers did not feel like swimming that day, they didn't swim that day. I know I didn't just blow your mind. You're like, yeah. What he says is, no matter how he felt, Michael swam. In fact, as he got more popular, he had sponsorships, things like that, right? Demands, press conferences. And so typically, if you've ever had this, if you've ever added anything to your life, you got married, school, kids, whatever, a lot of times when you and I have things that add to our life, we just blow up for a little bit. We're just like, I'm losing my mind. I don't know what's going on. Well, here's what he did. He said, here, workouts are first. Everything gets built around that. He would tell the press, he would tell his sponsors, hey, you're going to have to wait. I have to go work out. And I guarantee you, he did not feel like doing that every single day that he did that. That's what his coach says was the big difference. His coach went into further detail talking about what Michael was willing to do was Michael was willing to sacrifice all the time. I'm old enough now to tell you something about life. I think many of us don't get this. I don't think the world is full necessarily just of all people who just got radically, unknowingly blessed and they're just lucky. I don't actually believe in luck. I think sacrifice plays a big, big part. In fact, I want to go after your mind. Here. Sacrifice is the action your mind desperately needs. When you think about, if you're willing, I don't know how vulnerable you're willing to be. If you would be willing to be so vulnerable to say, this is not on the tracks. I am consumed with worry and anxiety and pressures, and I don't know what to do with it all. And if you have a difficulty even having a healthy relationship and living things out like that, you're like, oh, I just get consumed by even the worst moments or the best moments. If you ever find that your mind is, well, you're losing it. According to God Himself, sacrifice is what your mind desperately needs. And I'm going to tell you something. We live in a world who's trying to have all of the rewards without the sacrifice. And we're wondering why things are breaking down. Because we're trying to get to the outcome. We want the outcome. We've seen other people with the outcome. And we think we don't have to execute along the way in order to get there. This is tough. This is why I'm about to lose maybe half of you. Let me remind you of what we're going after. You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, and your mind. So I have to pause the sermon just for a second. If you want to do this well, you've got to lean into, how are you going at your relationship with God? Does it have sacrifice involved? Does it have execution involved in it? Or is it simply a version where you show up, sit in a seat occasionally, hoping for a future outcome of when you die, you go to heaven? I'm not trying to be overly harsh with you. I'm just saying many of us have owned the outcome and disregarded the execution. When I would tell you the true joy, the excitement is in the execution. When you see an athlete not lose their life over the idea of when they didn't get the gold, when they're like, you know what, I'm going to go after it next year because execution has become something they crave. I could show you a story. Difference between outcome and execution. Let me give you context. If you don't know about the beginning of mankind, I can tell you. Adam and Eve. There you go. If you open up the beginning of your Bible, you'll find out all about them. Adam and Eve. Eventually, they add some kids to the mix and begin to have this family, and they're growing. And Cain and Abel are two of their boys. And they begin to grow up. And it's in their life, Cain and Abel, it's in their life that you and I learn a lesson all about sacrifice, all about outcome, all about execution. Let me show you. When they grew up, Abel became a shepherd while Cain cultivated the ground. When it was time for the harvest, Cain presented some of his crops as a gift to the Lord. Abel also brought a gift, the best portions of the firstborn lambs from his flock. The Lord accepted Abel and his gift, but he did not accept Cain and his gift. This made Cain very angry, and he looked dejected. You're like, I don't know how you read the Bible. If you are going, I don't know how to read the Bible, I'd like to show you how to read the Bible. Let's slowly go through this. Abel was a shepherd. That means he took care of animals. You're welcome. Learned that stuff in seminary. Cain cultivated the ground. He's a farmer. We clear on this? Do you ever wonder, is anyone asking who cares? I mean, I don't know if you ever read the Bible and feel like if it's like irreligious, like, can I ask who cares? I mean, it seems like a fact, you're like, it's no big deal. No, it's a huge deal. In fact, many of us read through that and we're like, who cares, who cares, who cares, who cares? Get to the good part. Oh, that was one of the most significant parts. See, it details, this is why it was written in there. It was detailing their way of survival. You catch that? A way they chose, a way they decided they were going to survive in this world, to make money, to make an actual family of their own, to actually have provision, were that. I mean, and that's why the Bible details. Here were their means of survival. Don't miss that. It's a big deal because you have a means of survival. You have a way currently right now that is producing an opportunity for you to get groceries, to have a roof over your head, to even do some fun things. You have a way of survival. The Bible just detailed theirs. Cain presented some. Abel brought his best. See, this is where the story gets good in a way that gets personal. I just want you to see, just for a moment, as you read the Bible, okay, they have a means of survival. But Cain and Abel loved God. They knew the outcome. It was to love God, and it was the sacrifice for God. Any relationship you have, here, if you want to end a relationship quick, just stop sacrificing on behalf of the other. It will end. And so if you want a relationship with God, they knew sacrifice was a part of it, but they began to do this differently. You notice that. One of them brought some, the other brought the best. And then the rest happened. The Lord accepted the best. He did not accept the some. For some of you, that's going to mess with your version of God. Yes, God just pushed back the gift. Can you imagine how awkward that would be? You go to a birthday party. Here you go. They're like, no, thank you. Oh, that's awkward. Can you imagine that with God? I'm not reading into this. I'm not giving you my own opinion. The Bible just said that two people each gave God a gift, and God did not accept one of them. And we have details of why, because one was not the best. So I will lean into your life now. Do you give God the best of what you have, or some of what you have? Enter into the conversation tension. Many of us are trying to love God based on an outcome of heaven while offering him some. And I would argue some of us aren't even giving him some. While that offends some of you, I'd like to show you what this looks like. So let me give you some context to this. Some kids were asked about Christmas gifts, what they wanted. So they were like, how long of a list can I provide for you? And they told on camera, here's what I want. But then you'll begin to view the bit of the left hand that got offered, and this is a big deal. Take a look.
This year for Christmas, what are you hoping to get?
A computer, big, giant Barbie house,
a trophy case,
an Xbox 360, Minecraft Legos.
What do you think your mom or dad want for Christmas?
My mom would probably want a ring. She's never really had a ring.
Jewelry, she loves jewelry. A new TV, like watches.
So, we actually did buy an Xbox 360.
What in the world? I wanted this! Okay, you really got this for me?
A new laptop.
Wow,
And
it's a necklace!
so we also bought a necklace because you said you also wanted to get a necklace for your mom or your auntie. The catch is that you can either get a gift for yourself, or you can pick a gift for your mom and dad. I need you to pick one. Now before you answer, oh, I bet that's hard. Is that a really hard question?
Mm-hmm.
What gift do you pick?
I choose this.
I gotta go with the ring.
What gift do you pick?
That one. That one. That dress. I'll choose this for my mom. I'll choose this one.
It's a really tough question.
I'll
but
give him this.
You already know? Tell me why.
Because Legos don't matter. Your family matters. Not Legos, not toys, your family. So it's either family or Legos, and I choose family. I get gifts every year from my family, and my mom don't get anything. If I get a laptop, my mom will get something. She helps me when I'm sick. She helps me with my homework. She gave me a house to live in.
They look out for me and do stuff for me, so I need to give back to them.
Now I have the opportunity to give him something.
Because you actually picked the gift for your family, you're actually going to go home with both. Tell me how you're feeling.
I'm feeling really happy and
Why?
thankful.
Just happy. Thankful.
For your family? For what?
My family, everything.
He did make his decision, actually. And he picked the Pandora charms.
Oh, that is sweet. You're gonna make me cry. So what are you putting me to be? Oh, it's for me? Oh, it's for you.
Thanks, guys.
I was going to.
What a lesson. Do you give God the best of what you have or some of what you have? Just to give you a little bit more detail, one of the brothers killed the other brother over this issue. If you are offended right now about a conversation of giving to God, you are not alone, because this has been that kind of offensive kind of a conversation since the beginning. And many of us right now are arguing. I don't have enough to give to God. I barely have enough to pay my bills. There's always enough if the relationship is worth it. It's a life lesson you might be willing to receive. And some of us are like, oh, Pastor, are you telling me that God's going to hate me if he's going to refuse? He's going to be against me if I don't sacrifice to him? He's going to be against me? Well, let me take you to more of the story. That's no. You will be accepted if you do what is right. Okay, so that's the offensive part. Watch. But if you refuse to do what is right, which is where some of us are right now, then watch out. It's not watch out, I'm coming to get you. Sin is crouching at the door, eager to control you. But you must subdue it and be its master. Later on in the Bible, in reference to money, in reference to our means of survival, the Bible goes after you cannot serve more than one master. It also talks about the root of all kinds of evil is the love of money. Oh, perhaps the most profound lesson I have ever learned in my entire life is the connection between sacrificing for God and a thriving relationship with God. I've learned it in my marriage. If I don't sacrifice for Katie, the relationship is eh. If I don't sacrifice for my kids, it actually becomes a pretty selfish relationship between them and me, right? Many of us want this to be on track. We want to love God with everything we've got. And we know what is right, but we're still refusing. And so I can tell you what Katie and I have done since we were married. We decided to do what was right, whether we felt like it or not. When we started our marriage off, the Bible talks about one of the principles is the principle of the tithe, where you give God 10% of the first. So for us, a paycheck arrives, we take the first 10% and we give it to our church. That's how you give to God. And we've been doing that. And I got stories, because I've got stories where I'm like, yeah, we're gonna get evicted, just so you know. But we got to give to God, and we never were. God always provided. And we've been applying this principle, teaching it to our kids, and they're learning that you can trust God and have this incredible relationship with God, sacrificing for Him. It's incredible. Theodore Roosevelt helps us here. I know that seems odd, but in any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The worst thing you can do is nothing. I wonder what you'll do with this. I don't know. But I'm not worried about how you feel about me. I am consumed about how you feel about God. And may you walk into a relationship with God that thrives. Thrives. And my challenge is, start giving to God from where you find your means of survival, And you will open up a relationship where you're able to love him with everything you are. Let me pray for you. Heavenly Father, what a truth to press into our minds. God, I believe with all my heart that you have unmistakably put in front of us the best way to love you in a way that's sacrificial. God, I pray for those right now who are dramatically wrestling with this. It's I don't know if I can. God, would you walk alongside with them and show them that they can and that you'll provide. God, I pray for those who are not wrestling with that. They're wrestling with, I don't know if I want to. God, may you help us have a desire to love you with everything we have. Not some, but with the best. And God, I pray that you will help us as a church to use the sacrifices brought to you to glorify you and help show people who Jesus is. We pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
One of the things I know is I remember when my mom and dad had a conversation about being faithful to him. I can still remember that time. And my daughter right now, my oldest, is walking into some job opportunities, and I'm having that conversation with her. And the other day I looked at her and I said, hey, remember, as you do this, man, you have an opportunity to give back to God. And she's like, yeah, Dad, I know. We've talked about it, as any typical teenager would. But I love that she's thinking about it. I love that she's implanted that in her mind. And so we want to give you a practical step of what that looks like. Each of you has a card right in front of you. Or maybe you're sitting on it right now, and if so, it's probably been uncomfortable the whole time, but go ahead and grab that. And on there are some steps, some practical steps that you can just choose one. And I would invite you, I would like to execute a giving plan in my life. What does that level of execution look like for you? Maybe you check that one. Maybe for you is, I need help building a habit of tithing. And what does that look like as you engage that moment of saying, this is something that I want to be a part of. I don't know about it. I want to understand it. Or maybe third, you're like, this is a part of what I do. At any of those steps, we want to either help or encourage. We want to help draw this to a place of saying, listen, if you have questions, we want to help. So there's an area down at the bottom just for some general information, and our team will contact you this week. We're not going to share this with people. Just listen, we want to help you take that step, and we want to help you walk this out and walk in obedience with God and see him work and move in your life in a powerful way. So we believe that this is one of those best steps of executing something in your life and beginning a process and a habit that follows him in that way. And so however we can help, we want to do that. So what I would encourage you to do is, if you take a moment to fill that out, as you leave, right outside in the lobby, in the middle of the lobby, there will be some tables and some blue boxes. And as you turn this card in, we just have a gift, a wristband that says a difference maker. We want you to have that. We want that to serve as a reminder of what God is doing and what you're saying yes to. So as you go, fill that out, take that out in the lobby, and there'll be somebody there. Also, there's Love Week. There's something for students. But hey, I just want to say, if today is your first time, if you made church your first time this weekend, it's awesome to have you here. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being a part of this. We're going to walk into self-talk again next week, and I look forward to having you here. Have a great one. Bye-bye, guys.